Welcome to the Metal Voice. Today on the show, the legend, controversial, the main man or the mean man, ex-guitarist of W.A.S.P, Mr. Chris Holmes, all the way in France. So, in May 2015, you came out with a solo album called Shitting Bricks. So, you want to tell me about the musical direction on Shitting Bricks compared to your first so-called solo album?
Well, the Shitting Bricks, I did it all myself.
Yeah.
You know, everything. It's from working on the first one with Phil, I learned how to program drums. I wrote the songs as I went, you know, working on them. I'd get an idea, put it together more, and let it sit and work some more.
I heard the album and I was pleasantly surprised. It's got that punky, it's got a lot of punky elements to it. Yeah. I mean, was that on purpose or just naturally came out?
That's just naturally the way it came out.
How's the reception of the album? Now, it's been a few months, it's been out. What's the feedback?
Yeah, the feedback's been good, you know. I went out last night and saw this, some groups, I don't know the names of them, but there's this new thing called death metal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And
it's been a while. It's been a while.
Well, I know what heavy metal is, and whatever, it's death metal. And I couldn't understand a damn word they sang. I had to ask all the singers, were you singing in English or French? You know, it tripped me out. It's just, they scream real loud, as hard as they can, real low. It tripped me out. I never really seen it, you know. You know, I was in there watching, and the guitar player I play with, he came in and goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm just checking this out. And he goes, how can you sit here and watch this? And I go, well, I learned what not to do. You know?
Getting back to your album, okay? I mean, I know you've got a lot of good feedback because I go online and everyone's really excited about this album. Have you planned a tour? Are you still touring? Are you planning to go to the U.S. maybe? I don't know if you're ever going to go back and tour there, but what's the plans for a tour?
Next month in Austria, the Czech Republic, and some other country, and we're right by Italy and Switzerland. I don't know, what I know is Poland.
Sure.
I thought there was only Poland and Germany. There's a whole bunch of little countries. A few of them booked, and
there's a few
see
of
how
them.
that. We're gonna see how that goes. It's kind of the eastern part of Europe. It's not the western part, but we're gonna do some shows next month coming up there. Yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go out. I did one show last 2 months ago for record release party. Yeah, it came out great. I sang the whole show. I didn't think I'd be able to.
Okay, so what is your set list? I mean, are there W.A.S.P songs there? Is it just your 2 solo albums on there? If
you want to hang on, I can walk over 2 feet and get the whole thing and read it to you.
Sure. All right, go right ahead. Right. This is exciting. We're waiting for Chris to come back to give us the live set list that he'll be playing on his shows in Europe. So we're waiting for Chris.
Right here somewhere.
He's coming back. There he is. And he's back.
Right here, see?
Nice.
You got it?
Well, I can't see it. You got to read it to me, at least a few tracks.
It goes, Shitting Bricks, Get With It, Let It Roar, Love Machine, which is an old W.A.S.P song, then Loser, Sleeping in a Fire, which is an old W.A.S.P song, then TFMF, which is Two-Faced, Mother.
Yeah.
Then there's They All Lie and Cheat, 502, those are off my record, Don't Care, Nothing to Lose, Born, Work, Die, Wild Child, W.A.S.P song, Animal, W.A.S.P song, Way to Be, which is one of mine, and Rockin' in the Free World, which is Neil Young.
Yeah, so I would say about 30% W.A.S.P. From what I'm hearing.
Out of 15 songs, there's four W.A.S.P songs.
Okay, it's a little bit of everything, a sprinkle of everything.
Yeah.
And what about the songs? I mean, you said before that you're trying to sing all of them, but not. There's another guy in your band who does the singing for a few of the songs?
Well, the other guitar player I got sings. He sings the W.A.S.P songs. He sings Love Machine, Sleeping in the Fire, and Wild Child. And I sing part of Animal because it's a lower part where my voice isn't high enough to sing the Blackie stuff. You know?
Sure.
And if I go out and try to sound like him, people are gonna laugh at me or whatever, you know.
Do what you do best. So let's go back into the W.A.S.P years, all right? And there's a lot of questions I have. I grew up, we're almost the same age. I mean, you're a little older than me, but I grew up watching a band. First album comes out, I think, you know, I don't, as a fan, we don't see any conflict between you and Blackie or the rest of the band. What was it like after the first album was released? What was the band atmosphere like?
It was great. Tony got thrown out. Riley came in, and it seemed like it was all for one, one for all. Everybody worked to the same goal. But deep down inside, Blackie had his means of controlling everything and being the only guy. That's what he's always wanted to do. He doesn't want, work with other people. But obviously, the second album, what?
Last Command.
Yeah, he's on the cover.
Yeah.
And it's all about him, you know.
When you started recording the second album, I mean, what do you think you brought to the table on those first two albums? What did you bring? I mean, I could tell. I listened to your solo album and I listened to the first two W.A.S.P albums.
In the younger days, you always think the guitar sounds the guy's amp or his guitar. No, it's the way you play. It's in the guy's hands, and it's the style. It's the way that I grew up playing guitars. The way I play, and that's what you can hear it on the latest W.A.S.P albums. It's not there.
The tone.
I don't know what it is. It's just the way you hit the strings. Everybody's different. Iommi, Michael Schenker, Peter Townsend, everybody that plays is just different. The way they hit the guitar, and I hit a certain way.
Yeah.
And Blackie always, I never heard one note in my life in W.A.S.P. Hey, Chris, you did a good job. I never heard that once. I always heard how terrible I played or this and that. I don't know if that was to keep me down or always. I just got sick of. I was always put down all the time, And then, Blackie says the manager wants to use my image to sell the band. Well, the band was a band in the first place. It was a whole unit,
Yeah.
But he always wanted to be him the main guy.
Let's play devil's advocate here. I mean, what didn't he like about you? Did he ever tell you, maybe you drink too much or you're not taking the band serious? Did he ever say anything like that to you?
Oh, he was always mad. He was always mad I drank, but that was the only friend I had.
Okay.
On the road. That bottle, it was part of my personality. I loved it. At the time, I loved drinking. Man, it turned me into an animal.
Sure.
I loved that being that. I loved all the stupid things you do drunk, blame it on being drunk. You want to know the honest thing about it? He was jealous of me.
Okay.
What
was he jealous about?
Oh man, when I was married with Lita Ford.
Yeah.
She was nominated for Vocalist of the Year. He made sure I couldn't go to the music awards.
So he
made sure.
Wow.
Yeah, he made sure I couldn't go, and I didn't go. I mean, it would have cost me a large amount of money, and it's just the year before I went, and she had me wear a white suit, and I can remember him telling me after the show. I didn't look at it. I didn't have anybody tape it, but he goes, "Oh, you had to wear that white suit, so you stuck out like a sore thumb." I didn't even think about it, and I was like, "Well, everybody uses some black suits and whatever women wear."
Yeah.
But I didn't think about it. I guess I did. But that's not why I wore it. But he watched it, and sure, he didn't like it because he wasn't there,
I read in the past that, you were always a paid, salaried musician for the band. If you had to go back in time, would you have made sure, before you joined the band, that you were sort of like, you own 25% of the logo, the rights, and et cetera, the merchandise?
I wouldn't have joined it. If I could change back time, no, I wouldn't have.
Really?
I wouldn't have joined it. No. Knowing now what I know now. No way. I was told I was written in as one of the songwriters.
Okay.
And found out about 5 years ago that I was written in as a session player,
Uh-huh.
But that's just, I trusted somebody and took their not advice, but what they said, I took it, as 100%, yeah, and trusted them, and then when you go back and it kind of kills you, and you go back to somebody. Phil dug into the contract, his lawyer went into a lawyer in London, and they went in and where I couldn't just walk in and go, hey, I want to see this contract or that. He went into the publishing stuff, find out where the publishing went, found out that through first, second, third, fourth, fifth album, I was written in I was just written in as a session player.
Mm-hmm.
But my name's on the record as a songwriter.
Wow.
You know, but I could never find that out, the contract stuff, and that's just the way it is.
Can I ask you a question? And this goes into like the question you've always been asked, the pool scene, right?
Okay.
Penelope Spheres, okay, she asks you a question. She goes, why do you drink? And is it because
I'm an alcoholic, right?
You did, but then she asks you, are you drinking because of, you know, some sort of sad thing in your life or a negative thing in your life? And you said,
hiding things.
And you said maybe, but you never answered the question. What is the answer? Was it because of Blackie you were drinking?
Well, first of all, I think I drank because I was an alcoholic.
Yeah,
you know?
okay, given, yeah.
I started getting hammered.
Sure.
Didn't she ask if I was trying to hide something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and did I say yes or no? Maybe
You said maybe, but you're going to answer the question, then you stopped. And I was always wondering, since a little kid, I go, what did he want? What was really troubling him inside?
Well, it was being in WASP, being treated the way I was being treated all the time. You got to understand, if somebody they use reverse psychology on you, you know, and to hold you down so you don't shine like they do. And you know, I was always held down all the time. Anything I did, I was always in trouble. And you're kind of tired of that, you know, your personality, whatever. You know, everything I did, I was always in trouble in WASP, no matter what. You know, every bad thing that happened to WASP was my fault, which most of the time it wasn't. It was always my fault. And then I'd, get drunk, do stupid things, get blamed about it. It's, you know.
Did you ever perform drunk or high?
No, you can't perform drunk in that kind of band, you know, on stage. You'd do about 3 songs and pass out.
Yeah, of course.
There's no way you could do that.
All right, move along. Okay, so Inside the Electric Circus comes out, The Headless Children comes out, and then you're no longer in the band.
In between Electric Circus and Inside the Headless Children was a live album, too.
Yes, you're correct. But what happened? I mean, were you fired? Was it an incident? Why'd you leave?
Oh, we do the Headless Children album. So there's some information found out about Blackie charging the producing fees on the other albums. And he said he didn't, and I found out from somebody that he did. And I asked him about it, and he goes, where'd you get your information? You're full of shit, he told me.
Okay.
And that was during the tour of that band, of the Headless Children, and I almost left in Germany because you know, to lie to somebody who's supposed to be your friend.
Headless Children, how did it do?
Oh, that's popular. It's big in Europe. That was the heaviest you know, WASP album there was. That was the best one because the drummer Banali.
Yes.
And you know, he's a killer drummer. He played killer on the album.
Did you get along with Frankie?
Yeah, I get along with him.
Yeah.
I always have.
Frankie seems like a really nice guy. What do you think about the Quiet Riot reunion? Him being, I guess...
what he's doing now?
Yeah.
It's not, without Kevin DeBro, it ain't Quiet Riot. Regardless.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin DeBro was Quiet Riot. Once he died, Quiet Riot's gone. I don't care what anybody says. Quiet Riot was Kevin DeBro's voice, and it was him.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin was a cool guy. Everybody hated his guts. He always treated me like a king. I don't know why. A lot of people hated him because he was just flamboyant. That's the way he was. But he was always treated me with total respect every time I seen him. I partied at his house, barfed in his kitchen. You know, always treated me with respect. Even when I was tearing things up, he was always cool to me.
Cool.
You know,
cool.
You know, Quiet Riot, it goes back, you know, we're talking about 1977 here.
Did you ever meet Randy Rhoads?
Yeah, sure, man.
What was he like?
Played gigs with Quiet Riot. Huh?
What was Randy Rhoads like?
I never partied with him and went anywhere with him because I always was hung out with the drug crowd, the Van Halen drug crowd, where you drink Schlitz malt liquor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he, you know, Randy was a lot more quiet of a person. He was a little, you know, where wear polka dots and bow ties and stuff, you know. I always wore dirty, oiled up, ripped up T-shirts and jeans, you know. So,
Okay.
but he was always a cool guy. You know, he taught me a music school, you know, and he had a lot of my friends were his students, and he enjoyed teaching and stuff like that. You know, I was always getting high and doing drugs and drinking and, you know, falling out of cars and stuff.
When you knew Randy back then, did you think he was going to be the star he was today, or this legend today?
Before he met Ozzy? Hell no. No way.
He just was another guitarist?
Well, I grew up in the area I grew up in, and there was Van Halen was in Pasadena, and Quiet Riot were in Burbank, you know, so I always hung out with the Van Halen crowd more.
Okay.
You know, and I liked the way Ed played a lot more than Randy. But Randy was good. Once he kicked up with Ozzy, that was it, you know. That was a good combination. I auditioned the night Randy, I auditioned that night when Ozzy saw Quiet Riot play.
So you actually auditioned for Ozzy as well, in a way, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I went down the studio. Dana Strum was driving Ozzy around finding musicians, and I was just called up as one of them. And I auditioned. It was a Friday night, about 8 o'clock, up in the studio up in Laurel Canyon. Ozzy came in. I played some guitar, and then him and Strum went to see Quiet Riot play that night, and I took Ozzy. And Ozzy took him the next day, I think, to England.
Did you know Eddie Van Halen?
Oh yeah, I grew up with him.
Oh yeah? And what was he like? I mean, he's like another surviving drunk, I guess, right?
No, Ed's probably he's probably one of the coolest musicians I know I've ever known. You know.
Okay.
I've known him before before Dave Ross was in the band, before it was Van Halen.
So you used to see Mammoth play, in other words.
Oh yeah, sure, man. Oh yeah, my old singer Roger lived on the same street Dave Ross lived on, Bradford in Pasadena. So in fact, Dave still owns a house there.
Wow.
He bought his dad's house.
Very cool.
But we used to rehearse right down the street too. We had a band called Shagavara, then hit LAX, just right on the same street Van Halen did. They used to come down and borrow our equipment all the time.
Sure. And do you ever talk to Eddie or David Lee Roth or, you know,
Dave's He's a character. I talked to Ed a few years ago before I left. Just said hi, you know, we talked to each other.
Any cool stories about Dave in the beginning years, you know, at the early, I guess?
There's some funny stories of, I don't know. This,
we won't get it. That's another interview, right?
Uh-huh.
That's another interview. So let's go back to W.A.S.P. After years later, you rejoined the band. Why did you want to rejoin the band after having so much, I wouldn't call it hostility?
Because I didn't get my ass kicked enough the first time.
There you go.
I was told things would change and this and that, and it was just the same old crap, you know.
All right, so you're out of the band a second time, right?
Yeah.
Did you quit this time, or were you fired?
As far as I know, I was in the band, and they were getting ready to tour. I wouldn't get paid when we were off the road, and Blackie just he owed me some money from Eldorado. Okay. And I needed to get paid, and he just says, "Meet me at Stet's." That was a drummer. He had a drum rehearsal room in the valley. So I'm down there waiting, and I thought he'd have a check for me. I needed the money. He walks in a piece of paper. He goes, "Did you say this, Chris?" He was really pissed off. I go, "Let me read it." And so I was looking at the paper, and it was a fan, and we had played a place called Harpo's. Yeah. In Detroit, and it says, "I got everybody," and it's a fan he wrote, "I got everybody's autographs at Blackie's. I waited by the backstage door. The security pushed everybody away. Blackie ran on the bus. The bus started up, and everybody was getting on to go. And he says, Chris was one of the last guys walking the bus. I asked Chris if I could have Blackie's autograph. Chris said no. I asked why, and it said, because he's an F&S a-hole." Oh. And I read that, and, I go, "Yeah, I said it." I told Blackie, "Yeah, I said it." And he kind of goes, "I thought we had a better understanding of each other." I go, No. I explained to him why I said it, and he just, at the end of the story, he was walked out of the room and said he was jealous. And at that time, they had already tried out to Daryl, the other guitar player. I didn't know, but that was the last time I ever saw him.
So you're not in the band anymore. What do you think about W.A.S.P.? They have a new album called Golgotha. What do you think about their sound today?
It was Halloween night in LA once. I don't know, probably 8 years ago. And my friend was opening for W.A.S.P. He gave me a ticket, right? Mm-hmm. So I dressed up as a terrorist to go see, so nobody knew it was me.
Okay.
And I went and saw it, and I watched the first 5 songs, and they were using the same sample CD that I played a few years before. The exact same show. And I hate to tell you, it had no energy, and it was a joke. Without Jimmy Page, they're not the singers, these are guitar players. Without Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin doesn't work, right? Without Peter Townsend, The Who doesn't work.
Sure.
Without Tony Iommi, Black Sabbath's not going to work. Without Michael Schenker, UFO doesn't work.
Exactly.
It's still on the road, but ain't UFO.
Yeah.
Without George Lynch, Dawkins ain't happening.
Yeah.
Right? So without Chris Holmes, W.A.S.P. ain't going to be happening. It's going to be W.A.S.P., but it's not going to have the energy.
Are you going to write a new album next year? What are you planning? Have you written some songs?
Yeah, I have. I haven't recorded them, but I've written them.
Okay. And are you going to be on vocals again, or are you going to get somebody else to do that?
Oh, no, I'm going to sing them.
Nice.
I'm going to sing it.
It's got a Motorhead feel, your voice. That's what I like about it.
I'm going to sing them. I kind of like singing, and I can say things that I'd never been able to say before.
Well, anyways, I want everybody to go pick up Shitting Bricks. That's a new album by Chris Holmes. Any closing words?
Oh, just treat people how you want to be treated.
All right, man. Thanks for being on the show.